Hello, welcome to Domain Canaro's Facebook Live. I'm Erin Stauffer, and I'm here along with Phoebe Ulberg, and we are going to make some sparkling cocktails this week. We're very excited about it. We decided to give the winemakers a little break from the education side and do something a little bit fun. So the first one that I'm going to be making is called the Sparkling Margarita. And for me, this is the best of both worlds for cocktails. I love margaritas, and of course I love sparkling wine. So this kind of combines those things, the two things perfectly for me. So it's really easy. You just start with your shaker and fill it with ice. And then we're gonna put in an ounce of tequila. Now, of course, use whatever tequila you wanna use. It's all a matter of taste at that point. I think everybody knows what they like. So I'm gonna put in 1 ounce of tequila. Poured a little heavy on that one, but that's okay. Then we're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of lime juice. And this is freshly squeezed lime juice, but we all have to work with what we have right now. So if you have that little pre-container, I don't remember what they're called, the little lime containers of ones that they have on the shelf there. If that's what you have, go ahead and use it. If you have fresh, that's great, but we gotta make do with what we have these days. And then I'm gonna do a 1/4 ounce of agave nectar. I did check on this because I know not everybody has agave nectar. You should, but if you don't, not everybody has it in their pantry. You can still get this on Amazon. One of the few things maybe you left in the world that you can get on Amazon. So this is just a 1/4 ounce, and again, you can actually adjust this. I think the beautiful thing about cocktails is that you can adjust things for your taste. So if you don't want it quite as sweet, and I don't think this is overly sweet, but if you don't want it quite as sweet, you could adjust it down. If you want a little sweeter, you could add a little bit more. But for me, I think the 1/4 ounce is like the perfect little sweet spot. So then, we'll put that on, or that would be messy. So then I'm just gonna shake it up and pour it into the glass. And again, you can use whatever glass you want. I like for sparkling cocktails to use some sort of flute. I just think it's fanciful and fun and in the spirit of what we're doing. So, oh yeah, sparkling wine. I need this. So we're gonna be using our 2014 brut today. And Phoebe is actually gonna be giving you some tips on some of the other wines that we have. But I think this is a great one for sparkling cocktails. It's got a great balance and it just blends perfectly. So I'm just gonna fill the glass, top it off with sparkling wine. It's probably like 3 or 4 ounces. Ooh, that's getting dangerously close. It's probably 3 or 4 ounces, I would say. But it depends on the size of your glass. This glass is deceivingly a little bit bigger, but it's fun. But again, you can just add the sparkling wine depending on your taste, what you like. Again, they're cocktails, so you don't have to be too precise or take two things too seriously. The thing that I love about this cocktail is, again, it's best of both worlds. You get that bright lime, you get a little sweetness from the agave. I love the flavor that agave adds. You get that little hint of tequila, and then you get the beautiful bubbles from the sparkling wine. So it's just wonderful and refreshing. The thing is, if you're wondering what you might eat with this, my favorite thing, I am a sucker for guacamole and chips. It is my favorite snack, besides margaritas. Sorry, I'm going off over here to get it. So, I would actually just do this, especially if you're doing something with your friends, happy hour. This is perfect snack to do. I have to acknowledge to you this. So I went to the store, like all of us. The stores can be a little overwhelming, and I grabbed a bag of chips, and they ended up being giant, but they're wonderful, and so that actually makes me happy because I have a lot of chips I can eat. You probably like 4 of those is like a 1/2 bag of regular chips. So I'm just gonna get that out of the way. So next, we are gonna move on to this is called the Blackberry Sparkler. So this is a blackberry simple syrup. Now we have the recipe for this online for all these cocktails that you're gonna see. But this one, you have to make a simple syrup ahead of time. You can make it days ahead of time. It keeps in the refrigerator for at least a week, probably, if not. The thing about this too is that you can also use frozen or fresh blackberries. So that's great because you might not have access to fresh blackberries, but if you can get some frozen ones, easy to make. And so you're going to want to make that blackberry simple syrup ahead of time, but then you'll have it for over a week, and you can have this cocktail whenever you would like after that. So for this particular one, you can use, for the simple syrup, you can use anywhere from 1 ounce to 1.5 ounces of the simple syrup. I prefer 1 ounce. I think 1.5 ounces for my personal taste is a little sweet, but I'm not into things that are overly sweet. So that's perfect for my taste. So we did say that you could use either 1 ounce or 1.5 ounces, whatever works better for you. But in addition to the blackberry simple syrup, there's actually going to be gin in there. And again, use whatever gin you prefer. So I'm going to put in, let's see, 1 ounce of gin. There we go. 1 ounce of gin. And then, again, I'm going to do 1 ounce of the simple syrup. But if you prefer it a little sweeter, you can do more, or you can do less, actually. I think the ounce also, it gives you the nice flavor, but it also gives you the color, the beautiful color we're gonna get. So if you go less than that, you're not gonna get quite the coloring I'm gonna get here, but that's okay. And then we're gonna do 2 blackberries. These are big ones. So we're gonna do 2 blackberries in there. And then I'm gonna do this very slowly because I did a test run of this and I had this pink foamy volcano that happened because I got overly excited because I hadn't tried this drink before. So I'm gonna go a little slow, but it's the same as the last one. Just make sure that you top off the glass. This glass, ounces wise, is a little bit less than the other glass, but I would still say like 3 to 4 ounces of this. And then, so you get these beautiful blackberries floating in here. And when it settles a little bit, you can see all the beautiful bubbles coming off the blackberries too. When it settles a little bit, you actually get this beautiful ombre color because the simple syrup and the gin are heavier than the sparkling wine. So you're going to get this beautiful ombre effect, which is beautiful. So the thing I love about this one is it's great for brunch. It's fun. Once you make the simple syrup, again, it's super easy, just as easy as making a mimosa. The gin helps add in a little extra something to it. So you can do this with any brunch item. You already have the fruit in the glass, so you could skip that. But I also made some Blackberry Financiers, and if you don't know what those are, they're a great little brunch item. They're usually a brick shape in tradition, but I did these. I don't have that potted pan at home, so I did these in muffin tins because we have to make do with what we have. So these are basically a little almond butter cake. They're mostly almond butter and egg whites is the main part, lots of butter. And then some blackberries in them, and you can actually find this recipe online very easily. I got this off Epicurious, but it's a perfect pairing with this little cocktail. So with that, I think I'm gonna pass on to Phoebe, and she's gonna show you a few more wonderful cocktails to make, and I'm going to pass her our little bar cart so she has all of her ingredients.
Social distancing. I just want to drink your cocktails. I don't want to make one of my own.
Me too.
That was delicious.
Well, I want to drink yours.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're doing a little marketing takeover of Facebook Live today. I'm Phoebe, and I'm usually on the other side of that camera. So welcome, and thank you so much for joining us for our episode on sparkling cocktails. I selected my favorite kind of dress up, go out on a date night kind of cocktail, and it's called the French 75. And since it's my sort of go-to dress up cocktail night cocktail, I actually hadn't ever made it at home. But it turns out that making it at home sort of is a perfect little blurring of whatever your life looks like right now in quarantine. So it sets the mood perfectly at home too. It's basically gin, simple syrup, lemon juice, and sparkling wine. And I actually had to look up what the origin of a French 75 was, because I didn't really know its history, and it's a real classic cocktail. It was developed in 1915, which is during World War I, in Paris, ironically in a bar called the New York Bar in Paris, and its name is a little bit unusual because it had such a kick. They named it after a French 75 millimeter field rifle. So, can't say much about that, but I'm pretty sure that anybody who has had more than their share of French 75s has some good stories about the kick that it has, because it does have 1.5 ounces of gin in it. So, I actually had to look up the recipe because I hadn't made it at home before, and handily, we had in the Domaine Carneros retail space this awesome book called Ladies Who Drink, which describes me, a stylishly spirited guide to mixed drinks in small bites. So this is great. This is a great book. It's available on our website along with the recipes and everything else. So let's make a cocktail. So I'm working with Hendrick's gin too, ironically. And I don't know, you could probably use whatever gin you have. I really like Hendrick's. And I've got 1.5 ounces of gin here that I'm putting into over ice. And then I've got 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. And if you're not familiar with simple syrup, it's basically equal parts sugar and water boiled together. You saw it in Erin's cocktail as well, and it's sort of a staple of a lot of different cocktails for sweetener. So I got my 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, 1/2 ounce of lemon juice into my shaker. And I like a nice, pretty cocktail glass. It just sort of elevates the whole mood. So I'm going to use this nice little cocktail glass. And you're going to top off with about 3 ounces of sparkling wine, but whatever you have room for, basically. This is going to be a strong one because there's not a lot of room for sparkling wine. And then we're just going to garnish with a little bit of lemon peel, and you are good to go. And I really want to drink that right now, but I'm going to wait until I show you some other things. So if you don't feel like hauling out all the bar supplies and you just want a glass of sparkling wine that's a little bit dressier than your average sparkling wine, we've got some great ideas here. And actually, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I forgot. My little snack, because Erin did her little Blackberry Financiers. So in a previous life, I owned a restaurant, and the bar that was in the restaurant, for our bar snacks, we served these little kind of savory shortbread coins. And they're really peppery, cheesy, buttery, and they're the perfect little snack to kind of elevate your cocktail. You can make them big like this, or you can make them teeny tiny, and the recipe's online, but they are delicious. So on to a few ideas for simpler cocktails. So one of our favorites is actually made with a locally produced vermouth. This is called Mom and Pop, MOMMENPOP vermouth, and this is really beautiful infusions of different flavors. They have blood orange and grapefruit are two of our favorites, but they do a number of different flavors, and they're just so easy and delicious. You can do this with sparkling wine, you can do it with sparkling water with a little bit of ice, but if you just put in, you know, ounce or so of the Mom and Pop and a little bit of sparkling wine, you've got easy peasy, beautiful cocktail. A couple other options are for brunch. So we all love Bellinis. Sometimes it's hard to find good juices to put in Bellinis. Well, we found these two this company called Alain Milat makes these beautiful nectars, and we have here the peach and the strawberry. And just like the Mom and Pop, you can just put a little bit in a glass, top off with sparkling wine, there you go, boom, you've got this delicious Bellini. But if you just want pretty, and you don't even need all that much flavor, you can do a couple different things. We've got these little Griotine cherries. This one is Eileen, our CEO's favorite for dressing up a glass of sparkling wine. It's a particular sort of production method of cherries, and it doesn't really add much flavor, but it just makes it a beautiful glass. There you go. And then one other option are these really neat little Hibiscus Blossoms, and these are on the website as well. They're so crazy looking, but once you get the sparkling wine in there, they're just gorgeous. And that's one of the things I loved about Erin's cocktail, is the way that the blackberries looked in the glass. So these don't really add flavor, they just add pretty. And you can see that we're using the Estate Brut for all of our cocktails, but if you like things a little bit drier, you can go with the Ultra Brut. Or sometimes you can use, if you want something a little sweeter, or if you just want to skip actually making a cocktail and you just want something a little bit sweet, you can use our Vermeil Demi-Sec. So those are two other options that work well for your cocktail hour. So, is it time to have our cocktails? Does anybody have any questions for us or comments?
Everyone just wants to know where to find the recipes and get all of the additions, so
Yes.
great
So
job.
Everything is on our website. We have all of the recipes are in the blog section. You'll see we have a beautiful new website as well, so play around in there for a little bit. And then all of the guillotine cherries, the nectar, and all the wines obviously are all available, and the hibiscus blossoms are all available on our website as well. So thank you very much. And Peggy, we wanted to give you a little bit of a preview for next week. One of our most beloved wine educators, Peggy Ahrens, is going to be joining us to actually simulate a wine tasting experience here at the Chateau, which everybody misses so much, I know.
Hi everybody, I am so happy to be able to talk to you just briefly today, and really looking forward to seeing you all next Friday at 2 o'clock for a fun and exciting tasting. Hopefully you'll all be able to tune in next week, and in the meantime, let's have a party. I know we might be socially distant from one another, but there's no reason to ever be without some fabulous Domingue Carnero sparkling wine. Cheers.
Thank you, Peggy. And if you want to get any of the wines to prepare for that, that tasting, they are all on the website. They're under the virtual tasting section, and we also have a tasting mat available for you to download if you really want to do the whole tasting experience. If you do the whole tasting experience, definitely pick up some of these. These are our bouchons, and if you're going to go through that whole tasting experience next week, you're going to have a lot of open bottles of wine, so maybe grab some of these because it'll take you a while to get through all those open bottles of wine. So thank you very much for joining us. Bye from